Alright, now it is, well, same day. Only it's the morning. January 6th of Merry Christmas, Ukrainian Christmas here. Of 2025. Now I'm going through the videos and I'm just taking a few pictures in paint with that fog that was rolling in at 2 o'clock this morning. And I stopped here and I'm going to take a picture of this. But before I do that, I just want to make a mental note of, as this stuff is being pushed by the wind, the fog, even though it doesn't seem very windy, like very little wind. But when you look at the particles that are in the air moving, it looks like there's a lot of wind, right? Now, we could be getting into quote-unquote sleet, because it was very cold and the grass was starting to white up a bit because of the fog, right? On the verge of maybe snowing, because you get the fog, you get the sleet, and then you get the snow, right? I don't know if this is sleet that we're looking at, or the first stages of sleet, but I'm gonna copy and paste this one and take this one to exposure, because as this stuff is it's moving, it's leaving, it's moving fast, very fast, and there's a lot of them, so you're getting the that I don't know what it's called, but it's not, the image is being distorted because of the movement. But if you notice, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this very well, okay, because look at the length of the aftermath of the beginning point. So if you have a speck, okay, a little dot, and it moves, you're going to see a little something, like, when you move, right? A camera will record things moving, and I don't know how to explain this because I don't know the terminology around it. These lines are a representation of a speck of something that's moving fairly quickly with a whole lot of other specks. And as it's doing that, it's look at the length of the lines. Okay, if you look at the length of the line, and if you notice, they're kind of like parallel again. All right, look at the length. Where am I? Where's my finger? That crazy eye of mine. Okay, do you see the length of the line? Length of the line, length of the line. Okay, this is the representation of these little specks moving fairly quickly, but if you notice, they're very uniform in length, and I find that personally to be kind of odd. They're all basically the same length from what I can see here, right? Even over here, right? It's this, where's my finger? It's the same. See, look at this one, look at this one, look at that one, look at that one. That one's really pronounced. Where's my finger? Yeah, that one's really pronounced. There's another one. There's one. There's another one. This one goes this way, where that one kind of goes that way. But if you notice, they're all pretty much the same length. Look at that one. I'm going to bring this one right up. Look at that one. Now, that's the one that you want to take to exposure and enhance it, because from what I can see through the screen of this camcord, this one's looking like a long, skinny little rectangle. Look at it. This is where you want a magnifying glass over your computer screen as you bring in your recording device, so the pixels not bouncing back at you as fast. Now maybe what we'll do is we'll zoom in, and then don't forget you have to deal with servers to these videos distorting your videos as they're being uploaded to their, their server. They'll give you a certain kind of codecs which will either distort your videos or they'll make your videos crystal clear. Does that look natural in terms of an ice particle being pushed in the wind? Okay, hold on. How about we just take the camera right up to the screen? Now when I go to convert this over, you're probably going to see a lot of pixels in there. But look how uniform in size. It's almost like they're almost, where's my finger? It's almost like the length of these things are the same size. That's what I'm noticing to be unusual here. Well, look at these ones down here. Look at this one. To which I would say that's not natural. If it's an ice particle turning into sleet. Look at this. That one's broken. They're over here too, look. You got a whole bunch of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It just keeps on going, right? Look at these ones. Where's my finger? Look at those ones. You can't tell me that's not uniform in size. And it's almost like they're tubular with a straight cut. Like a little piece of wood or something that has a straight cut to it. It doesn't even look like they have endpoints. This is what exposure will bring. You'll see. Much better. Look, over here. The same length. Look. Pretty much. They're pretty much all uniform in the same length, which I find to be kind of unusual. Okay. I used a different flashlight this time with Andre. Now, Andre said these things were attracted to the light, but that's still up for debate because clearly there was some sort of a air turbulence that was pushing these things along, even though it didn't feel like it was windy. All right. Now, I just clicked it a little. It's almost at the end of the video, and I brought it to another frame, which I'll copy and paste this one. But again, if you look, they just seem too I don't know. Look at the lengths of these things. They're almost the same. Right? Now, if these things truly are attracted to light, okay, and it's outside swirling around, and you got your lights on in the house, I'm just saying, where do you think these things are going to migrate to if they are attracted to light? But if that was the case, you'd think they'd be really highly concentrated around light poles. But then I suppose it depends on the type of light, right? Because there's different light spectrums. Look at this. That is too straight of a line. And this stuff was, right? Being pushed, swirling. So how we're getting these lines in here, I don't know. But if you're dealing with a nanotechnology of sorts. Think of that energy bullet, right? It has a starting point. The energy bullet has a starting point, travels very fast. The camera catches it. What you see is just a mist of something go by, right? But you don't see what's inside of it because it's misty, but it's enough where you can see that it was something that shot by. Well, this is kind of the same kind of stuff, I would think. I mean, look at this. Where am I? Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They just seem to be too uniform in size. That is what gets me. Okay, so same day, only now it's like, oh, I don't know, 11:30 in the morning. Maybe we should get Andre to bring the flashlight. Just hold on a minute. Okay, so my son's saying, it's just fog. I drive through this when I go to work. Sometimes when I get low into the, if he's up on a hill, it's really foggy. And then he comes down and he gets to the bottom of the hill and he's under the fog driving and he can see as clear as day and everything above him is all fog. So, Andre, it's just going to work. I don't think we can. It's not going to work. Well, you never know. Whoops.
Yeah, you
is
can
it on?
barely see it.
Okay, well, hold it here. Just hold it, and we've got the flashlight on because the camera will pick it up. You see, that's the thing. Put it maybe right there. Oh, it's cold. Cold, cold, cold. Because you have to remember, I'm taking this stuff to exposure. Right now it is windy because I can feel it. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Okay, maybe switch sides and have it go in this direction. Where are we?
Can't see the cranes.
Nope. Go up against that tree there.
What tree? That one?
Yeah, there we go. The camera will pick it up before we can see it.
It's not gonna pick it up.
It will under exposure, more than likely. Okay, that's it. So you can see it's really foggy. Right? So basically what I'm going to do, people, so this fog has been around since 2 o'clock this morning. Okay. I don't know if there's ice crystals on the grass, but I'm going to look for some glass. I have sheets of glass, like picture frame glass. I'm going to clean them really good, and then I'm going to take one. It's going to take me a while to find them, and then whoosh it so that the moisture collects on the glass, and then I'm going to take another piece and put right on top. And I'm going to seal it with some tape, and then we're going to let it dry and see what happens. Little science experiment. Okay, so now I think it's January 7th of, it's the 7th or the 8th, I don't know. I'll look in a minute. Of 2025, and I'm looking at the video that I just uploaded, right? And as I'm watching, because I've been through this already a couple of times, when this image gets over here and morphs into an outer space alien creature of sorts, or a transformer, or whatever it was supposed to be, my eye caught. When you see, we see, when this thing morphs over here, it's got these, I don't know what they are. It's a grid of something. It looks like a stack of ribs, right? Like a rack of ribs, like pork ribs, long ones. And then there's something down here as well, okay? What I noticed, and this is why I put on the camera, the upper rack, we'll just call them ribs, the upper rack of ribs manifested from the tail. And again, we're talking frames within seconds. Okay? So, how I'm going to show this to you without the full access to all the frames. Well, let's just try it. Now, I'm going to have to put this on slow speed as it was being recorded with this film on slow speed. I'm pretty sure. Let's see. I got a little bit of time yet.
Or it could have been a spider. I've had people call it a spider, for crying out loud.
Okay.
Flew through my fence.
Okay.
Said it was a spider on my
So
lens.
we have to catch it.
That was no spider on my lens, people.
Right. When this thing starts to move, I'm going to stop it, and then I'm going to put the video on slow speed.
Like a bull.
So that hopefully we'll be able to catch it
Bulldog of sorts.
as it's transitioning from tail to ribs. Okay, so what we're doing is we're keeping an eye on this. Because when this starts to change, which I actually stop and I talk about it, so let's get to that point before I put it on slow speed.
Drinking coffee.
Okay. All right. Now, it's starting to morph. Okay, this is where it starts to morph. So this is where I'm going to put this video on slow speed. So we're going to double slow speed the time because it's on slow speed right now, right? And then I'm going to slow speed again. So that's 2 times. Look at the tail. It's starting to morph. Clearly, you can see it's starting to morph. I'm going to put it on slow speed. Where is it? How come I don't... Playback speed. Okay. 0.5. No, we want 0.25. 0.25. Alright. Okay. So what is that? 25% of the total frames? That's all you have access to? Or is it 75% of the total frames that you have access to? Alright. Do I have this zoomed in? Yeah, sorry. Okay. Alright, let's do this.
Now it's starting to morph. Okay. Tail is still unusual. It's gotten bigger. You can see what's happening here. It's ready to change shape. Okay, it's gonna morph. Alright.
Patience is a virtue.
And don't forget, we don't get all
Okay, I'm starting to now move the video. Okay, hold on. I'm nervous because we gotta catch it. What you're gonna see is you're gonna see this tail turn into a rack of ribs. Okay? And it's less than a blink of an eye. This is two times the slow speed now. So I should be able to stop the film as it's doing it.
As a conductor.
Doing this in real time. Okay?
Yeah. See, this is why I showed you what I documented. So that you'd understand why I'm saying what I'm saying. If you're doubting what I was saying was true, or even feasible for that matter.
I have to catch it, people. I'm showing you in real time how it's done. It's tedious. Okay. Do you see what's going on here? Do you see what is going on here? Something dark is coming from there all the way down. Okay? Unless, of course, it has something to do with that, because this was recorded on BitChute. So hold on. Do you see it spreading? Okay. Alright. Either or. Do you see how the tail now is starting to change? Okay? This is what I tried to show you here. This here is going to turn into the rack, because I'm like, how did that rack of ribs show up out of nowhere? Like, because it, it's within those frames that you're not seeing, right? So we had to slow it down 2 times the speed in order for me to be able to show you what I'm talking about. There. Do you see? Where's the tail? Do you see where the tail is? That's the tail. But all of a sudden it's spreading out into some sort of weird rack of ribs with another rack forming down here. Okay? See? Do you see? So the tail was the image to produce the rack of ribs.
Okay.
There. There's your tail. Okay, so as I'm doing what I'm doing, right, I've been thinking about this private video that I can't have access to, even though it's my video. All right? And I remember back in the day before YouTube changed its format to what it is right now in terms of its outlay. And we had our playlists, and then they changed the format, downgraded on services, in my opinion, and then brought in more restrictions, I guess you could say, guidelines, whatever you want to call them. And they started removing videos off of people's channels for whatever reason, infractions. In the playlist, when you viewed the playlist, you would see that, you'd see it. You would see that it'd been removed, right? Okay, so if you go to the playlist, this playlist is called Domestic Animals in Crises. This was one of my first original playlists from 2010 and 11 and whatnot, as I was, developing the channel, I suppose. And over the years, videos have been removed from it for whatever different reasons, namely because YouTube would remove a video, right, through strikes or whatever, however, because it's been a progression of infractions added on to more infractions where they all ends up becoming ambiguous. All right. If you notice, here in this particular playlist, it says 31 unavailable videos are hidden. Well, when you're looking at it from a playlist point as just somebody coming in, looking at the playlist, you can see here that they're not showing you those. They're not showing you that they've been hidden. All right, so in my mind, like knowing what I know about YouTube and just everything in general, this is just another form of censorship and crafting. I don't even want to say writing, but crafting. This is YouTube staff, AI, and the corporation CEOs crafting their own narratives through various forms of subliminal messaging, that if you got a video here saying one thing, and you've got another video over here saying another thing, and then another one right here, but you only want to promote these two, or at least see them as maybe controlled opposition to what's being discussed here, versus this one is downright opposed, right? Because you have to remember, I'm a justice fighter. I fight for justice. I fight for freedom and goodwill for all, okay? So I'm a freedom fighter, Juster, whatever you want to call me, like a justice freedom fighter, right? You take out the most important video because you don't like what that content creator had to say at that particular time. Because maybe it was just a little bit too political and to the point, right? And it would have rallied the troops for change, positive one at that. But you removed the video because you wanted to stick with the controlled opposition? Isn't that what censorship is all about? To control the narrative? Through controlled opposition as they take out their opponents? Well, that's what those 31 videos is all about, people. Okay? Those videos, I think this is what I'm thinking. Because it used to say back in the day, because they're always changing their HTML coding, right? To make it look like they're on the job and busy. And they're improving the fucking format when it comes to the outlay and how they operate. No, it's just regurgitating the same old HTML to make people frustrated that they have to learn something different or change this, but still be stuck with inferior freaking services, basically, when it comes to, a web page. All right. not that I'm a guru on it, because I'm not, but I understand the logistics around it, okay? I know how these things are put together, and I know what HTML can do and how it's being done. As for the technology, well, all it did was allow corporations like this to be able to craft, design, to you know, right? To be more deceiving. No, you know what? Okay, so now, and I'll show you. So this is how you, if you were to come to my playlist, this is how you would see it. Okay? Now, would you see this? Maybe, maybe not. Who cares? Because you'll never see those videos anyway, because 9 times out of 10, they have probably already been removed off of YouTube. Whereas in the past, it would have said, it would have been a blank, you know, just nothing. You would see no picture, right? And it would just jump to the next one. So they removed that, and so that when you come to the playlist, you don't see these 31 unavailable videos, because they put them in the back room. So let's go to the back room. So now we're going to go to the back room, which is right here. This is my access to my playlist that they want me to remove. They want me to remove whatever is private right here, when in fact I could be in 150% agreement to whatever this person was saying at that particular time, but YouTube didn't like it for whatever freaking reason, and then put it on freaking, they copy striked it, put it on lockdown, they muted it, they made it unavailable for certain people in certain countries to not see it, so they can't see it, or they made it where the public in general can't see it, right, because it's all on lockdown. Right? Or maybe they up and straight up freaking deleted it. But if they straight up and delete it, they're supposed to send you an email and inform you that your video has been deleted. And technically, they are supposed to give you the right to at least try to appeal, even though you're dealing with a crooked corporation. So good luck with that. Some people get it, some people don't. Most people don't, I don't think, right? I know I don't, so I don't even waste my time with the shit anymore, because it's just a big fat fucking lie when it comes to an appeal, right? I mean, if they want to take your whole channel away, you'll just wake up in the morning and be gone. Been there, already done that. So, so this is a private video, but you know what? It's number one, the first one in my playlist that has probably been removed by YouTube, okay? And because it's still posted in here somehow through that HTML, it's made where you can't see it from the content creator, and they still have it holding on there. Okay, either or, you'll never be able to access it, because this is something that YouTube, as a corporation, didn't want you to see. So they took a page out of the book, and as a matter of fact, they took out the first freaking page. All right. And then, I mean, doesn't this look familiar when YouTube goes into my channel and start just taking down videos with ambiguous accusations, right? Like, look what happened. I mean, we just, right? Big, here's another page, not even two videos, out of 4 videos, they took out 2 pages. Wow. Isn't that interesting? So they didn't want you to hear what was being said in those 2 pages. Here's another one, right? Here's 2 back to back. Do you see that? And they're all coming in at private videos, which makes me suspicious, because prior to being called private, some of these videos were listed as removed, but they still held their lot in life, if you want to say it, right? Because I never removed them. I valued them. That's why they were in my playlist. I valued what people had to say. That's why they were in my playlist. Anyway, there's like 100 and some odd videos in this, with 31 of them gone. It was 129 videos, with 39 of them gone. How many videos? 126. There was 126 videos in here now. But 31 of them are on private. Oh yeah, okay, sure. No, that's YouTube fucking shadow banning other people's channels, as well as censoring what they've got to say because they were probably on point. Yeah. Now, did YouTube staff remove a video off my channel and not inform me and then just listed it as being, what is that called? On private, hoping that I'd just go for the sucker punch and remove it without asking why or what I was removing? Because they just want me to remove it here and get it out of my way to make it look like it's nice and clean. Well, no, it's not nice and clean, people. I'm working on a fucking dirty website, so what the hell? What the hell? Why would I remove something that I don't even know what the hell I'm removing when clearly I appreciated what it was enough so that I put it in my freaking playlist because I thought it was important. Like shady shit like that. That video probably doesn't even exist on the server anymore. Never mind the content creator even being aware that perhaps their video is on private and they think they still have it because it's buried deep in 2010, 2011. Because that, you know, these are older videos from 2010 and 2011 with the BP oil spill and all that crap. Right? And this is where I was working on the non-profit horse slaughter, you know? Everybody was getting up in arms about that a little bit. Not so much now because, you know, they're half starving and will eat anything. So yeah, ship all the Canadian horses to Japan. Sure. Okay, I just watched this movie based on a true crime story, Citizen Jane. And at the very end, she ended up getting justice for her aunt, right? And then, I guess, she got good at investigating and all that stuff, right? Through fighting for her aunts, you know, to get the murderer put in jail, right? Anyway, and then it got out there that, so some person came and asked for help, and I'm listening, and then he said, you know, she asked him when her sister, I think it was the sister, died, and the cops covered it up, right? Just brushed it off, closed the file, said it was an accident because the husband said it was an accident. And then he said, oh, she asked, well, like, when did it happen? He said 12 years ago, and he handed over the file. And that's, you know what, people, that's exactly what it's about. No justice, no peace. Shimei, it's what, going on 9 years now? 8, 9 years, something like this, since she was murdered and the cops covered it up and blew it off like it was nothing. That's exactly how I feel about it. Yeah, listen to this. So he's coming to meet her, right?
Miss Alexander?
Yes.
Okay.
Lyle Sanders.
Hi.
Thanks for taking this meeting with me. I read about what you did, getting justice for your aunt.
I only hope
Yeah.
if I was murdered, someone would do the
God forbid if I get a copyright on this one.
same for me. So tell me
about
your sister.
About your sister.
Her husband shot her in the kitchen of it.
Her husband shot her in the kitchen. Her husband shot her. So that was established. But he said it was an accident. And the cop said, oh, okay, yep. She didn't do it to herself. It was an accident. Well, close the file. 4 days later, they closed the file.
The house. He claimed that the gun went off accidentally, and the police closed the case in 4 days.
Yeah, that's basically what they tried to do with Shimei. Well, that day, really. And even when I did get them to investigate, it was nothing but shenanigans. And they covered up murder people for illegal organ harvesting, okay?
They ruled it was an accident.
They ruled it. First, they tried to say it was suicide because they went into her medical files at the Surrey Memorial Hospital and says she was depressed when she was 17 years old, so therefore she killed herself when she was 22. Yeah, okay. And then when I started arguing about that, then it was an accident. Either or she did it to herself.
What they didn't know was that she inherited a large sum of money from our parents.
Yeah, well, they knew that Julian wanted the baby. First of all, just as a control trip with his sister, right? Julian's sister really wanted the baby, and Julian, not so much Julian as it was the sister and just whatever, right? And, he didn't want to pay child support and just whatever. He was a control freak, right? He wanted to go on, if he got the baby, he would have went on welfare with it and could have run his little drug house and, right? And have one up over Shimei, but it was just easier to get rid of her, people. Plus, Shimei went back to Freddie, and that enraged Julian's sister, Tamika, and it enraged Julian. So they worked as a team, and they took her out. And then they showed up, Julian and his mother showed up the next day, expecting to walk away with the baby. Yeah.
And was scared to death of her husband.
How long ago?
Yeah, Shimei sat here at my table, holding Amari, saying if anything happened to me, in other words, if I die, Julian had something to do with it. Yeah, because she felt it. Because remember that energy weapon that went over his shoulder, and he was raging and looking like a fucking madman, screaming at her that you poisoned my food? And she's saying, what are you talking about? Because he's psychotic, man. Raging around my yard, threatening to shoot my kids, bust out my windows, busted out one window in the garage, burned down my house, sitting in the back alley with Cheeseburger. That's been confirmed by his sister on YouTube, plotting and scheming how to kill me after Shimei was dead so they could get the baby and go on welfare. Like, come on, people.
Did this happen?
It was 12 years ago.
Yeah, 12 years ago. This man heard about this woman fight for her aunt to get justice. He has not had no justice for 12 years. And because she was successful at solving the case, with doing what she was doing, working with the cops that were actually caring about solving murder, unlike my situation where the cops didn't give a jack shit about it, because, they couldn't harvest Shimei's organs then, right? As smoothly as they did with their partner group in terms of the healthcare system and that underground economy who buys the organs. 12 years. This is based on a true story. I know exactly how he feels. Okay, I'm going to read this to you, and I looked up this organization. It says, Tom O'Donnell is doing life without parole. Jane, if Julian would have gotten charged with murder and they were successful at locking him up, he probably in Canada would have gotten out within 10 years. Okay, but they didn't even want to try and lock him up because that wasn't the agenda, right? The point is, this guy, hold on a minute. Okay, so Jane Alexander co-founded Citizens Against Homicide to find justice for families, even 12 years after the fact, people, okay, of murder, right? Victims, okay? Because we become victims, and we're victims for life until we get justice. No justice, no peace. Shimei has not got justice. And neither has Sierra. And neither has Uncle John. Okay, anyway, there are now 5,000 members in all 50 states. I don't know when this this movie was made. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is there is such an organization. It does exist. Now, I know I'm Canadian, but I got a bombshell to drop. So do I expect this woman to help me get justice for my family? No, because I'm in a different jurisdiction. But I'd sure like to inform her and provide the evidence to her, somehow, some way, that illegal organ harvesting is happening in the province of British Columbia, Canada, which fosters murder to be covered up so that the culprits that facilitate that activity and then launder that money through the underground economy through a corrupt housing market and whatever else they launder money through, okay, is real. It exists. And if it's happening in the province of British Columbia, Canada, you know it's happening everywhere else because it's done through the policing agencies and the governments and the public union sector employees through hospitals and then throw in your organized religion that benefit not only in a surplus of body parts that they can buy randomly on the whim after putting their freaking orders in as they need them. Yeah. Right? So that whatever this woman is doing, maybe we'll start looking at things in a little different angle and put 2 and 2 together for those 100,000 people that are dying every year in the United States of America because of suicide. Oh, they were depressed. It says right here in their medical files 10 years ago. They committed suicide by overdosing on fentanyl. They should have known better. They were closet addicts. Nobody knew. Either or. Oh, it was an accident. Move along. Even though it's a dangerous substance and it falls under the Substance Act of this act and that legislation and whatever. Okay? Yeah, I think so. I'm gonna let her know what's going on out in the real fucking world. Outside of whatever she's got going. So that she can get better at her game. How about that? Okay, so we're gonna do a quick little video here. Well, I don't know. Quick might end up being long. Okay? And I think I'm gonna call it I Dare You. Walk in my shoes. Because, you know, I'm going down through memory lane here on quote-unquote YouTube. Right? And, you know, the antics that I've had to put up with all these years and still have to put up with it is questionable. So anyway, this video that I'm looking at is from 2013. It says Downtown Eastside Women's Center, Ministry of Tears, and it was posted onto YouTube on March 26th, right? And the video number, in terms of page, is 69. All right. Let's just go back in time. Maybe I'll read this here. March 25th. There we go. Of 2013. And now I'm being told that I have to prove. I'm being told by somebody else that I have to prove why my grandson doesn't need protection. This is year 2013 when Andre was illegally apprehended on January 15th in a daycare setting. Okay? But that social workers are not required to tell us why he does. So this was March 25th. And we have yet to know why social workers took Andre. Okay? Did you hear that? Now, as I'm looking at this, and this is maybe another reason why I'm doing this video, because I know I'm being punked off by YouTube and their staff, and by these quote-unquote maybe bigger content creators that never really dig deep, you know? Just play the safe card and surface scratch, right? Where my feet are like deep into the sinkhole or the rabbit hole or that big black pit full of soot. Right? To get past the riffraff. to actually stand up for something and represent something, right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, okay. That's like saying, it's early in the morning, I already had my first coffee and I haven't even started. That's like saying on the phone, prove that the social workers are abusing your grandchild. So at some point in the past, I phoned up the children's hotline and I wanted them to do an investigation into the Ministry of Children and Family Development for the abuse that they were creating for my grandson. Through that psychological warfare with that cortisol going nuts in his brain as he had a raging freaking penis infection that went untreated until we called the police after Sierra seen it on one of her visits. If that's not psychological warfare, I don't know what is. Okay, I'm just saying, people. Like, as I'm looking at these videos, because I'm working on my playlist, that's what it is, right? Going down through memory lane. The stuff I'm doing in the house is really tedious, so, you know, I just have to pace myself through it. It's like really labor intensive because I'm moving fabric from my bedroom into another room as I'm putting food into my bedroom. Okay? And whatnot, and whatnot, and whatnot. Today I have to do laundry. And I bought 3 chickens. Because, you know, I'm working on Amari's diet, right? So I'm always stressing out over freaking chicken. And, so 1 bird is going in the pot to make deep, rich bone broth. Another bird is going to be cut up. And I have a convection oven. And you can kind of use it for a air fryer. Especially if they have the fan on top. And this is an old one, and it does like to crisp things up. So I could see why people would say you could use it as a air fryer. It's similar, but it's not exactly like an air fryer. But if you learn to use it and adjust the temperature and get yourself a steel basket or whatever, oh yeah. So 1 bird is going to be cut up into pieces, and I'm going to bread it and try and get a little bit of a Kentucky Fried Chicken with that breaded coating made in this convection oven, right? And if that satisfies my quench for Kentucky Fried Chicken, then I'm rocking. I told Andre, though, we're not going to know until we try it, right? We have to experiment with the convection oven and work with it and learn how to make these things for ourselves versus paying $80 to get Kentucky Fried Chicken coming to the house, right? With French fries. Because I bought myself a little air fryer, but it's too small, right? So if I can learn to use the convection oven, so 1 bird is going for that. Where the other one, I think I'm going to cut up and debone, put the bones in the pot with the other bird, and then the pieces that I, you know, the chicken, the raw chicken, after it's been taken off the bone or whatever, I'm just going to bag them up into separate bags and keep that for Amari. Yeah. But, you know, in the freezer, right? Because I'm always stressing out about chicken. Okay. That's like saying on the phone, prove that social workers are abusing your grandchild. But before I go into this further, I keep getting distracted because I'm cold and I really should go get my sweater. Well, let me say it this way. So I hear there's fires in California, and it's wiping out a city, or at least a good part of it. Now, a lot of people that are losing their housing are the upper middle class. I wouldn't necessarily call them wealthy, but they're definitely the upper middle class. And so whatever is happening for them, to one degree or another, they'll be a little better suited to absorb the loss around the destruction of their homes, more than one, right? Even if they lose their insurance, because insurance companies are starting to bail out on their contracts. Yeah. So they're not even going to get insurance for their houses. But because they're upper middle class, they can absorb the loss more easily than your average person. And the poorer you are, the harder it becomes, because what happens is people basically deny you of legal rights, which then branches off to the right to have legal rights, to fight, to get legal rights to help you, right? A lawyer or whatever, right? You're kind of left on your own for a large part of it. When your life is destroyed from the inside out by taking an innocent child and just plucking them out of the house without a valid reason as to why, and then use a public service as in a court as a tool to deny being forthright, right? To say why the child was being taken. On the day that they took Andre from that daycare, okay, we were required to go to court the next day. I'm like, holy shit. I took Sierra there. Then we had to come back the next day because it was rained over for the next day. Because, quote unquote, they took him under an emergency, remember? So they had to have Sierra go to court the next day. And I ensured that she got there, right? Same thing when the judge said, well, this, come tomorrow. So we came, and then, okay. Oh my Lord. Memory lane. They never told Sierra, or anybody for that matter, why they took Andre. And they refused to tell the court, where it was on record, I suppose, because when we walked away from court, we still didn't know. So basically, the social worker was in cahoots with the judge. And because none of us had lawyers, we were helpless to do anything about it. Right? Which bought them, the government and their workers, time to try and concoct a reason as to why they took him. That's wrong. Everybody became suicidal in my house because of what those social workers did to Andre and Sierra and the rest of the family. As they were playing boobery, mind effery. And the government condoned it. And then the government covered it up with my lawsuits. If they didn't say statute of limitations was up, they called me somewhat delusional and out of touch with reality. Or if that didn't work, I didn't qualify because I was just a lowly grandmother and had no rights. It was between the parents and the ministry, which was a bunch of crock. Because I had a unwritten agreement with the Ministry of Children and Family Development the moment Andre came home from the hospital after he was born. And that agreement stayed, I guess you could say, true until Andre was 28 months old. And then all of a sudden, we were, it's like an invasion, right? And you can't stop it because there's too many of them and their weapons are too strong. And their methods of, I don't want to say attacking you, but their methods of trying to control you are very hurtful. And if you're not familiar with that kind of pain or that kind of abuse, it's really hard to react to it and stay emotionally whole, right? And they know it, and that's why they do what they do. Okay, fast forward to 2025 up in California, and this is the whole point of putting on this video, because it's making me think about, because it's been speculated that whatever these fires are, obviously are man-made to one degree or another for a political purpose, which would be, I think it's I don't know what year it is, but it's to do with some Winter Olympic Games. Oh, talk about deja vu. What did Gordon Campbell do in 2010 with his 5 great goals? Oh, he just wiped out freaking downtown area of all the poor people, tossed them off to the side, started, whatever, and took over all the single occupancy hotel rooms and gentrified the neighborhood so that the rich could get richer and the poor got real poor people. Oh yeah. And I was one of them because it was an attack on the poor. That was one reason they took Andre. All right. So in California, if people are dealing with a man-made crises, but nobody wants to take responsibility for it because they're all blaming the arsonist, when in fact it's more than just an arsonist. Okay? Their fire hydrants had no water, so the fire department couldn't even try and put out the fire. The governor refuses to release water from reservoirs or wherever, or let it come in from the north, which would be my way, because they're still trying to save the smelt, which is a fish that's about 2 inches long, that isn't even the original fish to those streams or wherever it lives, as an excuse to prevent people from having access to water because they need to, keep the habitat, I suppose, filled up with water, while the rest of the water that they don't need, they ship it out to sea. If that isn't a crime, I don't know what is, and I don't know why people put up with it. I really don't. Right? So now the city is burning down, and so is the surrounding areas. But you're talking prime real estate, right? And if you're looking to impress a so-called quote-unquote global leader, well, yeah, people are deviant. And apparently they want to build in another smart city. Start fresh, like in Hawaii with Lahaina, right? Clear the land and start building a smart city. Well, that's what they want to do in this area, and all I can think about is, well, it's the same damn kind of social workers that came into my house and put it on fucking fire. and got us all freaking running and scattering like rats and having nervous breakdowns and losing everything, because that's basically what happened in 2013 when Andre was illegally apprehended by overzealot fucking social workers that the government of British Columbia, Canada can't and doesn't want to control and hold to a higher standard of work ethics. As a matter of fact, it's the opposite. So, walk in my shoes. In terms of, I know YouTube likes to punk me off. Oh yeah, right, we were going to read this. Hold on a minute. That's like saying, okay, I'll just read and shut up. That's like saying on the phone, prove that social workers are abusing your grandchild. And then the person hangs up on you despite working for a child abuse hotline where people do understand what maltreatment and abuse against a small child really means. All right. So basically society has come down to allowing a small minority class of unethical public sector workers to have the ability to use disruptive psychology on whole families, okay, that they deem as unfit, as a further exploitative measure to continue on with their acts of homegrown terrorism, to where the real victims not only have to prove their innocence, but you don't know what you did wrong because ain't nobody telling you. It's kind of like YouTube. It's very ambiguous. You have to try and fucking figure it out. CIBC Bank did the same damn thing. Oh, we're not going to let you know what's going on in Mr. Bernard John Duncan's bank account, even though you've had power of attorney and enduring power of attorney for over 25 years. Somebody else took over the account. Go get a lawyer, poor Miss Judy Chorney. Yeah. I was thinking about that court case sitting up at the Supreme Court of Canada in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. Whatever happened to CIBC Bank? Have you noticed that all these years? Nobody told... No, did I ever get anything in the mail, people? No. Did I ever get anything in the mail to say that CIBC Bank was successful at throwing out that lawsuit? Or that a judge dismissed it? No, nothing. I haven't heard a peep. The last time I heard about that was when I was up against Judge Ross, and he told me to deal with it before the clock was ticking too fast, and something was going to happen. But nothing happened. I've not received nothing. Nothing, people. So what, is CIBC Bank and their lawyer, what was that lawyer's name? Oh, I don't know, but what's he doing? Sneaking around in the freaking courthouse, just checking the calendar, counting the days where he can go behind everybody's freaking back, and file a little motion, go in front of a judge all by himself, do a freaking solo, so that he can, successfully throw it out at court? Oh yeah. Time is their weapon. I've always said that. Time is their weapon. But I still got paperwork that I can send to the head fucking office and have them investigate that stupid lawyer and that stupid bank sitting up here in Surrey, British Columbia, Canada, for the shenanigans that they did against Uncle John. Disruptive psychology. Their acts of homegrown terrorism, to where the real victims not only have to prove their innocence. I had nothing to prove to CIBC Bank any more than I had anything to prove to freaking 26-year-old social workers that just got out of school and wanted to apprehend their first child child by any means necessary just because they had a point to prove that they were better than the family that they were supposed to be representing. There's your Ministry of Children and Family Development in the province of British Columbia, Canada. Walk in my shoes. Talk like me. Take the torch and stand with pride. I dare you. I dare you. Otherwise, your world, sooner or later, is going to come crumbling down. And if it doesn't fucking crumble down, then that's only because you crawled out of that dark freaking sinkhole that's black and filled with soot. That is your salvation. And just like you crawled out of it, when your time is done on this planet, you're going to crawl right back in it and you're going to deal with the consequences of your fucking stinky ass stupid behavior that destroys lives if you are a naysayer. I dare you, walk in my shoes. You wouldn't even last a mile, but you're welcome to try. All right. To where the real victims not only have to prove their innocence, and we're not talking just Sierra, we're talking Uncle John, Sierra, Shimei, Tisha, Marcane, Brooks, me, and everybody else around, Auntie Joan. Everybody had to prove ourselves against a 26-year-old social worker that just, I don't know, people. But you see, she didn't do it by herself. The system helped her to do it. She was just the scapegoat, the excuse. Don't come to me with your excuse. Well, she was inexperienced. She didn't know what she was doing. No, you allowed her to do it. Right through the bitter fucking end. You gave her all the tools so that she could do it. And she did it with malfeasance and with malicious intent. While Gordon Campbell was planning his Winter Olympic Games, just cutting everybody off at the knees that were below a certain income level, feeding into that Punjabi fucking caste system, You heard that, right? Walk in my shoes. I dare you. Well, I'm walking with those people up in California right now, people, because honestly, gang stalking is hard to prove. I already said that too in another video. Right? But if enough of us wake up to the tactics, and there are many different types of tactics around it, then maybe some of us can bind together, If the crooks can bind together, if something binds together the crooks, why can't something good bind people together in a good way? Right? Why are the good always scattered and destroyed? Well, the ones that are bad and commit crimes and think that they have some right just to walk free, regardless of what they do to hurt other people, what binds them together? Well, if they can bind and multiply, why can't the good bind and multiply? Well, knowledge is power. Walk in my shoes. Right? Don't be afraid to speak out. See things for what it is. Right? Don't let people forget the past, because the past will repeat itself, because that's how they get away with that shit, people. Time is their weapon. The more they can silence you, the more they can do it to somebody else, again and again. Nobody can be surprised about what's happening in California right now. Nobody. You're talking, oh God, I don't know, tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people, lives, individual households destroyed. Even if they can bounce back financially and take the loss of losing their insurance policies, because all of a sudden 2 months prior to this happening, insurance companies are flipping the fucking script, broke their contracts. That's what they did. They broke their contracts. They changed the rules on the whim of the contract. So I'm just a little blip in the bucket. Okay? But at least My little blip is still fighting a good fight, and that's the point of this video. I dare you, walk in my shoes. And then that person hangs up on you despite working for a child abuse hotline where people do understand what maltreatment and abuse against a small child really means. So basically, society has come down to allowing a small minority class, the public union sector, in partnership with organized religion, depending on the geographical area of that religion. Because not everybody is a freaking crook around town here, okay? Only some religions like to participate in it more than others, but that's not to say that nobody or anybody doesn't have the capability of being a crook, because they do. It all boils down to moral character. And you don't get that from a fucking sinkhole that's deep and dark and full of soot. Moral character doesn't foster and bloom from an environment like that. Class of unethical public sector workers who have the ability to use disruptive psychology on whole families. Welcome to California. That they deem as unfit. Well, clearly somebody else wanted the land. They have other plans for that land, people, as a further exploitive measure to continue on with their acts of homegrown terrorism, while massive fires popping up everywhere with lack of water sure sounds like home terrorism to me, okay? To where the real victims, rich or poor, not only have to prove they're innocent, now everybody's running around seeing if they can get their insurance, and then they have to prove this, prove that, prove, not to mention what's going to be coming when all of a sudden it's cleanup time and people have to prove under this city code and that code and this code that they're meeting all the criteria just to be able to get back what was destroyed by no fault of their own. So they become, what? Psychologically damaged and trauma as they go bankrupt and become hassled and frazzled because they're being, oh, well, phone this number and do this and do that, and, well, this person was supposed to do that but did that over there instead, and, oh, somebody lost something over here, so good luck finding it. Right? Mindfuckery comes in all kinds of different kinds of ways. I dare you, walk in my shoes. Stand up against that bullshit, people. Start talking out against the fucking government, because that's exactly where most of it comes from. Who is this governor that's in California that's done a lousy freaking job? The rumor is when he swept the streets with all those homeless people out there and I dare you, walk in my shoes, that a lot of those people disappeared and never came back or to be found again. And then what did they do? They swept it under the rug, hoping that people forgot. Well, I have not forgotten, because rumor is a lot of them never made it out of that sweep alive, people. And that's why the subject at hand just disappeared, and nobody really knows the true answer as to how many people were relocated safely and successfully without being injured by the workers along the way. I dare you, walk in my shoes. Say the things that I have to say based on the reality of what's around us. Oh, well, we can just blame it on Project Bluebeam. Something flashed in front of people's eyes, and whatever it was that they seen made them go mad in a split second, just for a little while, so that whatever was being covered up, so that some slimy crook in the background could slither itself in and commit the crime and then slither itself back out and not be noticed. Because everybody's blinded by Project Bluebeam. I'm just saying. I'm just using that as an example. Clearly blinded by something. Have no balls. Something's wrong with them. Way too complicit. Way too passive. Way too obedient. Huh? As their lives are being destroyed. And they're still sleeping at the wheel. Well, I'm not sleeping. I'm tired, but I'm not sleeping. I dare you, walk in my shoes. Yeah. But you see, the problem is people don't like other people with the gift of the gab unless they're a certain kind of height. And they can be propped up by the media as to be, like Trump. He's handsome, he's elderly, he's sexy, he's got a sexy wife and the perfect kids, and, he's well-traveled and he's got money. And, that's the only one that can have a voice. But people like me, it's one of those slap down the bitch. She's saying too much, talking too much. Yeah, whatever, man. At least I can fucking talk. At least I stood up and fought for something in my life. At least I'm still fighting for something. Those people in California need to stand up and start fighting back. Seriously. In terms of removing scoundrels from positions of authority on all levels of municipalities, including the police departments. As a further exploitative measure to continue with their acts of homegrown terrorism, all right, to where the real victims not only have to prove their innocence without knowing why they are guilty, but they must also prove the guilt of those who are causing great harm without having to be held accountable to anyone, including police, government, and the judicial system. And here comes in the legislation, the forked tongue. Do as I say, but not as I do. They write the legislation dealing with these kind of situations where it appears to be balanced because it's related to justice, right? But when you take them to court under their own legislation where the the client, the public, because there is definitely a line. It's not a fine line. It is a line between public servants, public union sector workers, and the public. Okay? So, what am I trying to say here? I'm cold. My hands are cold. I'm starting to shiver because it's going up my arms. I don't mind if my hands are cold, but I don't like it when it goes up my arms. I should turn up the heat just a little bit. Maybe that's what I'll do. Okay. So, you got the public sector, the public union sector, right? Ministry of Children and Family Development, right? And Ministry to the government. Having me to prove myself, okay, with their acts of, okay, without knowing why they're guilty. So we didn't know what we did wrong. We really didn't, people, other than they wanted Sierra out for not coming home. But they must also prove the guilt, and because what they did was wrong, so when I sat down to fight, it didn't matter what the fight was, whether it was to prove myself worthy to get my grandson back home, right, or whether it was to prove that what they did was wrong so that I could get my grandson back home. The end goal was to get my grandson back home, and the onus was on me to all of a sudden woman up and become highly educated, so where I could read legislation and come back with something of substance to show them why, whatever, right, in terms of why he needed to be home. Oh. You have to remember, people, I was going to take it to trial. I was going to take it to the Supreme Court. It wouldn't have mattered how I got there as long as I got there. As a matter of fact, I borrowed money on my life insurance policy to do that. And I'm now just starting to pay it back because even my own life insurance company wanted to cancel out my life insurance policy because I haven't made a payment on it since I make my monthly payments for the insurance itself, but the money that I borrowed, I didn't. And because they were charging me interest on the money that I borrowed, it pushed it past 10 grand on terms of what I owe. And once it got to a certain threshold, that's when they sent me a letter through a postal mail strike, people, saying that I had until such and such date to pay at least $500, right, on that so that they wouldn't cancel my policy. But when I got the mail, I only had 7 freaking days left because it was held up in the mail. If I would never gotten that letter, I would never have known, people. And my policy, my life insurance policy, would have been pulled out from underneath my feet, even though the company knew that there was a mail strike and that the mail would not have been delivered at the time that they put it out in the mail. Okay? Some shady shit going on. Anyway, I did manage to make the payment, but, I'm going to phone up the company and I'm going to let them know that I paid it, and then I'm going to ask them if I was to die in 2 months from now, how can I go to my grave knowing that you're going to give my kids the money that is owed to them under that life insurance policy, considering what's going on around everywhere with, So these people with homes in California and with their insurance policies, or people are dying. I'm sure out of all those people that are being burnt up, some of them probably had life insurance policies. Well, so the family members, after it's all said and done, they're going to go to the insurance company and say, okay, so-and-so died in the fire. I know he had a life insurance policy, or she, or whoever, right? And go to cash it, or ask for their money, or whatever, how people do it. And they're saying, no, you can't, because it doesn't qualify under the policy, because we never expected that they would die in a fire like that. It's null and void. That's not where the life insurance, how they say, I don't think you can commit suicide on a life insurance policy, because if you do, you don't qualify, right? The policy nulls and itself out, right? And that type of thing. If you take experimental drugs for medical research and it kills you, that very well could cancel out your life insurance policy, right? Well, it would be the same thing about these fires. I don't know. Because they'll say it was a natural disaster or something. And that's not what they were covered for, because it was natural. They couldn't prevent it. The insurance company couldn't prevent it. As if they can prevent death in the first place. It just goes back to switching words around to suit the corporation and not the public, right? To suit the workers of the government, but not the public. There's a real correlation going on here between what my family went through and what hundreds of thousands of families are just now going into because of these fires, where nobody's taking absolutely no responsibility for nothing, because it's all being done through legislation, even though the legislation is whacked in regards to, you can't deny people access to clean water in a developed country, regardless of the excuse. Okay? People are entitled to have water. Okay? Water their homes, water their gardens, water their fields, water their animals, put out fires. And if they can't do none of that, well, then there's seriously something wrong with the leadership now, right? And as that's going on, that leadership is inviting other leadership, which isn't necessarily a good thing, considering from where that leadership, who's partnering up for these Winter Olympic Games, comes from a questionable background in terms in terms of human rights and that kind of thing. China is going through, for the, those below a certain income level, it's getting rough. It really is. All right. A handful of bandits snatching up babies without probable cause, while bystanders point fingers at the real victim and say, it's your fault, in or out of court of law. Last trick in the bag. Throw baby in as an emotional tool and nothing more than a vessel to show who's boss. And that's basically what it was. It was just a big power trip. At this rate, we won't need government, since unmoral and unethical authority manufactures its own rules to suit the agenda for the moment. So this was March 26. They took Andre January 15th, and we still didn't have a reason as to why they took him in the first place. Anything legitimately documented as we were going to court. Nothing. And they didn't give Sierra a legitimate reason as to why they took him in writing either. So, downtown East Side Women's Center, Ministry of Tears. And we went there on March 25th. The first thing I'm looking at is the hue color. Can't say I noticed it before, but when I stopped it here, but mind you, I'm in my editors, so maybe it came up that way, I don't know. But again, that hue, you don't see it when it's happening at the time. Unless you've been exposed to the color, and when you come into contact it, you might notice it because you already know the color.
We are in downtown, going to Hastings to, what is it? A women's
East
center.
Vancouver Women's Center.
So we're driving there right now.
That's Shimei talking. Right. I mean, God forbid that I was out in the community being a community activist, right? Keeping my kids out of trouble and trying to get them to be proactive, to be part of the solution versus being part of the problem. But people don't like that because, for whatever reason, degradation seems to be a tool for others to control the surroundings, right? But it always seems to have to go down to degradation. Right, and along with degradation comes violence and assault and abuse, and yeah.
We just find it kind of cool that we're in the alley.
Yeah.
We don't have alleys where we live, not like this anyway. We're just in the ride, just cruising down the alley.
This looks so ghetto. Look at that.
Yeah.
You know how hard it is to get up on a camera and put on a brave face and stay true to the cause to the best of your ability, right? Trying to be they call them influencers today, to motivate people, to influence people, to be proactive and a part of the solution, right? Within the greater community. if not in the neighborhood, at least for the greater community, because you can't change everything, right? You can't change everybody, and you can't change everything, and you'll be lucky to change something, because, you know, degradation is manufactured poverty, and once, you know, you get to that point, there is definitely a divide. Yeah. But that divide is closing. Yeah, I think so. California is just an example of that divide closing. Yeah. Those people that are suffering what they're suffering have come to my world with that emotional, psychological damage that's created from loss of, because when you lose it, very seldom do you ever get it back. Right? Some people, like I said, financially will get back their houses because they financially can wheel and deal and get it done. But the majority, I think, of those people that are losing their houses along the way, even though the big fish are going down, the big fish is just another means to redirect their money into another project, right? It gives them something to do. But for average people, you know, losing everything, right? And maybe even loved ones, you know, not to mention what's going to happen now that they're homeless. Like, where are they going to go? Who's going to house them? You know, what social workers are going to come out of the woodwork then? You know, how many more children are going to go missing within the system? I'm just saying, right? Who's talking about that?
See, the women's center used to be right here.
Yeah, they moved it, right?
So we just wanted to add that.
There's
into the
Shmay. There's Shmay, people. There's my Shmay. Look, she's so pretty and happy. Look at her eyes. Sierra was with us, and I think Tisha was with us. I went with all three of them. I'm going to save this picture. Hold on. Okay, so murder is not funny, people. But our government trivializes it and covers it up for profit. Because they condone illegal organ harvesting to be used as a tool to stimulate the economy, even if it means in the underground economy via through the black market of yada yada yada. Oh, their teeth.
Okay, please, we'll be back.
Okay.
Okay, hello, members and
Okay,
friends.
so I'm not going to drag this out. I'm just going to listen to this for a little bit and make my point. And maybe I'll just upload it as is, because I don't have time to do anything with exposure because I'm too busy focusing on that tedious work with moving fabric and da-dee-dee-da-da-da, laundry da-da, whatever it is that I gotta do. I'm just pacing myself through it, and right now I'm working on my playlist because that needs to be done too. So I'm getting ready to go off and do something else. But in the meantime, I've been listening to these videos, and I've been, you know, as I'm doing that, you know, I'm going down through memory lane, and I've got emotions, and you know, I'm working on Project Bluebeam, and I'm showing the evidence, and you know, I'm well aware that it's very hard to prove gang stalking, especially on a governmental level, even though they'll say right up in your face they're tracking you, right? So, you know, as they come up with this excuse or that excuse, and then the fires, and just what's next? Who's next? It's not about what's next. Sometimes it's about who's next. You know, people are just going to disperse. And I don't know. That's what they did with Lahaina. They just dispersed. You don't really hear about what happened to those people. And the more time goes by, the less you'll hear. Did they ever find those kids that went missing? Who knows?
Merrick's, we're downtown.
Merrick's. Working on a non-profit, trying to be brave. Trying to be a rabble-raiser in a good kind of way, not in a bad kind of way. Trying to encourage the community to come together and put our resources together and work in partnership with honorable governments to improve the neighborhood, the community, the province, the state, whatever, right? The country. That's just not the real world, though. Right? That's what the ones that are in authority don't want, unless it benefits them under that legislation. They only use the legislation when it benefits them, right? And they'll use it against you when it benefits them. But as soon as you come and you hold them account to it against them, then they deny that it even exists. And they refuse to look at it and acknowledge it and will throw it out of court. Yeah. So that they can commit crime. I'm thinking denying water to whole communities would be a crime. So if people want to sit on that for another 10 more years, waiting for the water taps to be turned on, assuming that they even have them, only in certain parts now, because everything else was wilded, while this particular spot was turned into a smart city. So everything's pre-programmed. You have a certain amount of time to go get your water at a certain type of tap. I'm just saying. That's it, right? If you want to make it futuristic. Okay, so we're just going to listen to this for a minute. I dare you, walk in my shoes.
Vancouver, Canada, British Columbia, Canada. It's March 25th, 2013. We spent a good portion of our day here at the downtown Eastside Women's Center.
Trying to find
and
this
I must
mouse.
say, they're doing a very good job. They fed everybody. There's like, they feed something like
Somebody's
200
hijacked my mouse.
people a day. The food was very good. The people, the staff, and the volunteers were very friendly. My girls got some free clothes. And
Fucking with my mouse.
it's a very good little support system.
Okay, I'm trying to find my mouse here, people. Yeah. What happens is it loses its shape and color, and it's only white. And then it just, I don't know, it captures something on the screen, it just flies off. Yeah, stupid. Completely stupid. Okay, we'll start it there. I have to turn it up a little bit, yeah. Anyway.
A lot of their donation comes in through private donations. I think from what they were saying is the food is not supplied for by the provincial government through funding. So any food that's given to the population, there's people come in. They serve anybody and everybody. There is no criteria in terms of race, gender. The only thing is, it is a women's center, so only women can go in there. And then
now you have to remember, I had no training to be a public speaker of any kind, other than motivation to be a good person and to start a revolution under an ex-solution, so we could have a better world for all. But I suppose I should have looked back in history in terms of when people were warring in the 1500s and even as far back as Roman days. Kings and queens.
when the men, they forward to someone else, right? So we did a little bit of networking. talked a little bit about my grandson, talked a little bit about the nonprofit. I left the information for the nonprofit behind. And now I've got one daughter that wants to volunteer. So my daughter will be volunteering, my youngest one, will probably go down with a friend. And maybe even my 17-year-old might end up volunteering. So it's all good. So I just wanted to say this is where we spent half of our day today, and it was very nice. And thumbs up for the Downtown Eastside Women's Center. Yay! So, okay. No, I want this is important what you gotta say. Okay, it's on. So Merrick's with a lady down here in the East Hastings area. She's got something to say about children and families.
Okay, the point is, people, I tried. I dare you to walk in my shoes. I dare you to try. And try under duress. Who, why, and how Sierra died. Wrongful apprehension of Andre. Who, how, and why Shimei died. Foundation related. Year 2013 in real time. Yeah, I dare you to go out into the community and interview people, talk fast, make sense as you're talking, even though you've got the dissenters somewhere lurking saying that you're not making sense, especially if you take it to court, alright? Because you're taking your opponent to a whole new level versus just standing out on the street and talking about it. I dare you. Walk in my shoes. Oh, yeah.
For jacking up native babies.
Okay.
You know? And they don't have enough native foster homes.
That's right.
And
They don't.
It's not right. And,
Okay.
You know, the problem is down here, and they should work with it down here, not elsewhere.
Okay, so that's interesting to know then. So you're saying that BC out of all of Canada has one of the highest apprehension rates for Native children and Aboriginal children. So that's some very that's a statistic that we can
That's
look.
alarming.
That's alarming. That is alarming, and that's a statistic that we can narrow down and get the numbers on in terms of province to province to province. And I'm also finding though that they're cherry picking the children. Are you thinking that they're cherry picking children?
Yeah.
I think they're cherry picking children too. But
The cute ones. The young 2-year-olds, like really cute.
Because
yes.
they're more marketable.
more marketable. That's
Don't
right.
say that out
That's
loud,
right.
yeah,
How
yeah.
many teens out here how many teens are out here, do you think, from your experience on the streets, being left out here to fend for themselves? Teenagers, 14.
Yeah, but that's the result of indifference. That's
Indifference.
like nobody gave a shit. You know, it wasn't our problem, and now they're still saying it's not my problem.
Okay, so is there a lot of teens out here?
Yeah, there is.
Like in
Alarming, and they're starting to do crystal meth and shit, and it's not fucking nice.
Okay, so
and they're babies. Like,
Yeah.
like,
so where are the social workers helping the teenagers out here in the streets that are doing methamphetamines?
no. We already have programs down here, and they're trying to tell us how to run it, and they're trying to cut us off.
Oh,
So
okay.
what? Places.
You heard that. They're trying to tell us how to run it, and they're threatening to cut us off. Yeah.
That they already know that are safe. The places they already know that are safe. You know, they're cutting them off. Like it's.
So there was existing nonprofits or whatever organizations that were providing services to high-risk youth, and Ministry of Children and Family Development came in with new legislation that wanted to either play by our rules or were cutting you off of funding. That's what was happening, right? Because one, it was gentrification of the neighborhood back in those days, right? Still under the BC Liberal government with his 5 great goals to get the rich richer while the poor fell through the cracks by any means necessary, even if it meant illegally cutting off women with 5 dependent children in the middle of winter right off of their welfare check. Because don't forget, that happened to me in 2003. Right? Was off welfare for 6 years, racked up my credit card by 40, 50 grand, not including whatever else I paid off in the interim as I was racking up my credit card. I'm just saying. Yeah, and people in now, California, they're going to be racking up. If they thought they were racking up their credit cards before, they're going to be maxing out their credit cards, and they'll have no home to go to. Unless, of course, they're that upper middle class where somehow it smooths things. Somehow it smooths, S-M-O-O-T-H-E-S, smooths things over, for those below that upper middle class income, as if, right? And do you honestly think the upper middle class are going to fight for justice for those below them? Hell no. They're too busy standing up on that mountain with their F-me heels, you know what I'm saying, kicking everybody down just so they can stay up on that mountain and have serenity and peace and a scenery after everything's grown back. Like, come on, people.
Been there. They're already there. So why start something new?
Okay,
Like,
so
you know,
there's
so you got
over there.
First United, you know, the sister.
Yeah, why start something new when something's already there and it's working to its best ability within the capacity of what it can afford, right? And people are comfortable with it and they trust it. But no, they want to come in and stir up the pot and get those dopamines, hire new people and bring in new tactics and, get those dopamines in people's brains sparking and derail them from any progress that they made because all of a sudden the legislation says this instead of that, right? You know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah. Or they don't qualify for this, or they don't or maybe they should go appeal. And that's assuming that anyone even tells them they should go appeal. Because chances are nobody's going to tell them because what they know they're doing is wrong. So God forbid if they're going to, right, unless of course they were in a corner. Well, you can always appeal. But we know that's like barking up a dead tree. When anytime it comes to a government agency appeal, it's like filing a complaint. So what? Yeah.
The sister's place, they close, they like lack of funding.
They close inside too.
Yeah.
Inside they close. So you're getting a lot of closing of facilities.
Can I listen to how I'm talking? I'm relaying what she's saying. I'm talking fast. I'm on point. Walk in my shoes. I freaking dare you. I dare you.
Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see
They're
you.
trying to, start new programs. That's useless. You have to,
Keep with the ones that actually were working. So these new programs that they're coming in with for the teenagers, what do you think about it?
I have no idea what's going on.
So nobody knows.
No.
But there is definitely a problem with children being apprehended in the British Columbia, Canada, especially up in this neighborhood, because like you said, where are the native children? There are no children.
There's no babies in this neighborhood.
There's no babies in this neighborhood. No
and they
children.
have native housing over there, so you think there'd be more.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you very much, ma'am. Appreciate it. All
Okay.
right.
I'm having a
Peace out.
Well, this was in 2013. Do you honestly think in 2025 there's any affordable housing left, considering that there was limited to barely no affordable housing for people in 2013, as the BC Liberal government, under the watchful eye of Gordon Campbell and Christy Clark, were making backroom deals with China to sell off everything to either Chinese investors or, better yet, people from India, the Punjabis, and likewise individuals. And that's why nobody can afford anything now, because we're under a caste system that it uses government as a tool to do their bidding without being held responsible for the mayhem that they themselves create in terms of overinflating the housing market, as they're laundering money through the underground economy through crimes that produce humans for trafficking, whether alive or dead. Doesn't matter. As long as they can make a money off of it, however, right? They do it. And this was just one way. As they were planning to take it to a whole new level when they started harvesting my daughters through murder that the government covered up. And now we've got hundreds of thousands of people in California just standing around, shaking their heads, not knowing what their futures hold for them.
Okay? Yes. Okay. So this is Walter. We just moved down about a half a block, and he doesn't have a whole lot to say, but he definitely has an opinion about.
Yeah. Walk in my shoes. I dare you. See, this is why I like watching these videos. There's Sierra. I told you, all three girls came with me on this. Sierra was really making an effort to get back on track with her life. But she was battling addiction and an emotional roller coaster where she'd get her hopes up because, you know, we'd go out and do stuff like this, or, you know, we'd go to court, or I'd fill out paperwork, or what, or she'd say something to the social workers, and then, of course, they wouldn't do it. Either or, she was on an emotional roller coaster of hope and then complete devastation. Well, the hope would be built up a little bit, and then it would be knocked back down. On this day, she was looking good, she was feeling good, she was trying to be a positive role model, right? She was trying to hold it together, she was fighting the good fight, people. She wanted her son back. She never deserved what happened to her. The government took advantage of her position, and they used their workers to destroy lives so that they could prop up the underground economy one way or another through their drug sales and their portfolios of money being taken from one organization and put into a different organization so that services could be, you know, given to people in the community wherever those services were. We know how it works, people. We know how it works. Sierra didn't die in vain. No justice, no peace.
You know what? I don't just fuck any bet you don't.
Where?
I don't. They could have cooties, cats, fucking lights. I don't fucking care, man. And it's like, you know, I don't know who this is going to, but you give her kid back, man. Look at her. Look at her. She is not a bad mom. She's not. She's a very
No,
good...
she wasn't. She was a good mom, people. She doted after Andre. 28 months, she was doing really, really good. She was doing the best she could under difficult circumstances with Joan Duncan living in the basement, going in and out of that house 2 times a month in an ambulance because of her psychoses and anorexia and bulimia and all that other crap. Looking back, if I was in Sierra's shoes, I'd want time out from the house too, because you have to remember she was living downstairs, right? So was Joan with John and Marcane. Sierra'd come out and find Joan on the floor, crawling around on her knees, looking for her pills that she dropped. Oxycodons, right? Was more like Joan was the one that needed to be kicked out of the house, not Sierra. But Joan was a public union sector worker before she went in and out of mental institutions, so somehow it made it okay for Joan to be that way. But Sierra wasn't even that way, and she got punished. Oh, because they wanted that cute little baby. That's what it was. They wanted that cute little baby, and they thought they could snatch him up without a fight. Yeah.
I'm sure you clean up well when your kid's around too, you know? Like me, if I had my son in my care, I'd be
That's done through gang stalking people.
clean in a second. She had no rights to take my son. Enough. I will shut that fight right down. Not even in the mood, you know? I've been drinking too, and that's why I get too... Like, she's young, right?
But you did good. You stood up.
So why'd the chicken go to the rock show?
She gonna tell you joke is fucking hilarious.
The M one is funny, and kids are all old enough to tell it. It seems that you're not really a Christian, right? No. Okay, so we'll tell that one first. Okay. Why doesn't Jesus like to play hockey?
Why doesn't Jesus like to play hockey?
You'll like this one. Because he hated being nailed to the board.
What's that?
Because he hated being nailed to the board.
Because they hated being nailed to the board.
She fucking laughed.
We don't want to look at the cement. Tisha,
You can fast forward that part.
I don't edit
delete that part.
I don't edit. Okay, what's the next one? Next joke.
Okay, why'd the chicken go to the rock show? Because he heard they needed drumsticks. Okay, get this guy with the brown hair. He works at Insight.
Who's that?
Tell him, the guy with the brown hair. Hey, can we talk to you for a minute?
Anyway, we seen Sierra. There she is again, right here. That's Sierra. Holding down the fort.
Missouri needs a
Looking good.
lot, and it's people like you that are going to get it there.
Well, then we need to meet with you. Sure, definitely.
Brief.
I'm just moving.
Okay, so I go downtown looking for help in 2013 because my grandson was illegally apprehended. First, I go to the downtown East Side Women's Center, and then they tell me about Adrian Dix with this Welfare to Walk for Justice rally, and that I should go there and try and speak to him about what happened to Andre. So I show up there, right? And I'm now going to be talking to this guy as it's being recorded. Now, keep in mind, people, in 2020, when I was doing exposure and all that stuff on Shmay and yada-de-ya, right? Or was it Sierra with the coroner? Both of them, really. And then once I discovered that the coroner was not of human origin through what exposure brought to the surface, and just in regards to what our governments were doing to the general population with order this and order. And, you know, this man right here, this individual, Adrian Dix, there is a part of me, I can't prove it yet, but there is a part of me that truly believes that he's been replaced with something else to do the bidding of wrongdoers. Okay? I think maybe in the beginning he was of 100% human DNA, signing up as a politician, fighting the good fight, whatever fight it was that he was fighting that he felt that was good. But just the way our world has been going and what walks among us, and I can prove that, and I've already done that, and I'll bring it to the surface again. I do believe this individual has been replaced by a foreign entity that has infiltrated Canada through organized religion and wealth in combination with the technology to put the, I guess you could say, puppets or the patsies. It was more like a patsy, I'm thinking, versus a puppet, but it's the same thing. Somebody to do the bidding of somebody else, even if it's for wrongful purposes, right? For an agenda that operates to harm and maim so that others can gain wealth, more power, more prosperity for their group, while everybody else wanes and falls off to the wayside. And then becomes statistics to that commodity of supply and demand when it comes to organ harvesting, whether legal or illegal. Now in 2013, I would like to think that this individual was of 100% human DNA, but I cannot be 100% sure because I haven't done enough exposure to see otherwise, right? But I don't think that the corruption that we're facing today in terms of people being replaced with robots was as prominent in 2013 as it was in maybe 2020 when I caught that fake coroner being employed by the province of British Columbia, Canada, when it was nothing more than a freaking robot, which led to criminal activity through the falsification of my daughter's death certificate and the cover-up of her, well, murder, really, because she was lured to her death. When I go to court and I bring this stuff up in terms of my grandson was illegally apprehended in 2013 or whatever timeline I bring up, the government always blows it off like it's no big deal, and that I should have, like when they cut me off of welfare in 2003, I was supposed to know to go make an appeal as I was scrambling to put another head over the heads of my children, like a house, put another house, put another roof over the heads of my children and Uncle John and myself, and right, 5 kids, Uncle John, me, that was 7 people. I couldn't afford the rent after they cut me illegally off of welfare, so I had to scramble people. Nobody in that position in the middle of winter, January 1st, is going to be thinking about taking their government through an appeal process so that they can keep their welfare check. I had credit cards. I had a dream. I believed in my province. I actually believed in politicians in those days. I took a chance. What did it get me? Targeted, even more so, without me even realizing I was being targeted in 2013 through the government of British Columbia, Canada. So I'm taking pictures of this dude, and I'm going to do a comparison from 2020 in relation to 2013, and we're going to see if we pick up motherboards in its hair. Now, if they wear makeup, there will be different layers to show that, because when Julian Johnson's sister, Tasty Bonnie, was stalking my house and going nuts on YouTube, I took a video of her with her, like I took pictures of her face as she was doing her makeup, and through exposure, I know for a fact that you can see the different levels that she plastered, different levels of makeup, different layers of makeup that she plastered on her face over a period of a half an hour to get an end result. So exposure can expose different layers of makeup. That's what I'm trying to say. Now, let's just listen to this for a minute. I dare you, walk in my shoes.
By you saying that, you're saying that you're going to be putting funding
That's my voice.
back in.
No, I'm not announcing it today.
Right? Is that what you're saying? Liberals took money away from that ministry.
What I'm saying is that in their budget they made a series of decisions and that were bad for healthcare, bad for education, bad for children.
Okay.
And, so
we need to listen to that then. We need to keep an ear open for
that's
it.
one of the things that we have to look at before we can come to a final determination.
Okay, you realize though there is a national movement brewing under that ministry.
Okay. I mean, there's lots of parts.
Yeah, didn't really want to talk to me now, did he? So yeah, get out there and be a spokesperson. Actually stand up and Fight for justice. Seriously, man. I dare you. Walk in my shoes.
All right. So we're outside of our quite possibly new premier.
No. Instead, he became the Minister of Health in the province of British Columbia, Canada, after his party was elected, I think in 2017. Something like that. Yeah. And since then, I think he's been replaced with something else. Yeah.
Quite possibly the new premier.
Quite possibly the new premier.
When they brought in those orders and everything, and just by the very way he was behaving and whatnot and whatnot and whatnot, yeah, oh yeah.
I gently.
But for all we know, maybe he was replaced in 2013.
Reminded him that.
Because I do believe that when Gordon Campbell sent his MLAs to China to cut backroom deals before the housing went completely bonkers in terms of corruption, it was something like 2007, 2008, in around that time, which you can't really find on the internet anymore in terms of information. That's when I think MLAs were not coming back as they should have been in terms of being of 100% human DNA. Yeah.
There's their national movement brewing. I think he's somewhat aware of it. He seems to be quite personable. He's out there with the people. He's networking. So that's a lot of thumbs up for him. And, he wasn't willing to express what his platform is at this point. He's got a lot of repairs. NDP, if they get elected into the, come on, sweetie. Come on. Couple of girls, come on. They're all with me today.
Shimei is recording.
More struggling around. Oh, there's two more over there.
Jumi and Anissa are way down there.
Jumi and Anissa. So anyway,
and Shimei is recording.
When they get elected in as our ruling government, they have 12.
We went there for Andre, people. I was advised to go there because they were having this rally, and that was a day when I could have met that man. But clearly he was annoyed. He even smirked and was smiling after he was done talking to me. So clearly he thought it was a joke, right? You know what I'm saying? Because nothing changes, right? Ministry of Children and Family Development is not accountable to anybody any more than Fraser Health Authority is accountable to anybody, or any other freaking public union and sector employee is accountable to anybody, unless of course they directly do something against the government's orders. Then they become the enemy of the state. Otherwise, they get free reign. They can do whatever the hell they want. And if they're committing crimes and it's stimulating the underground economy, well, the way the province of British Columbia, Canada sees it, with all those politicians sitting up in the parliament buildings, well, they get a green light, those workers, to do whatever they want by any means necessary, because the government will make sure that they'll cover up the dirty deeds. And that's what my lawsuits proved. That's what my videos have proved. That's what my community activism has proved. So when you think of California, don't be surprised. I told you back in the day, they were taking 10% of the population of whatever populated group that they were targeting so that people wouldn't get nervous and complain and fight back. Because if 80, 60% were being taken the way Andre was taken, there would be a real uproar within the community. But because it was only 10%, just like with Uncle John, they don't take each and every elderly person, lock them up like a dirty secret as they rob them of their assets. God forbid. If they did that with 60% of the elderly population, there would be an uprising. So if they do 10%, nobody says anything. Oh, c'est la vie. It won't happen to me because I have a 90% chance in that Russian roulette game that it won't be me. So therefore they don't fight. They just put their tails between their legs and they justify their ignorance or their freaking negligence, whichever one they want, and they'll do it with or without a bad attitude, just as long as they don't have to freaking get involved, because the more you get involved, the more you become the target. right? Because you're dealing with deviant people that play dirty pool from point A to point B, all the way to point Z. I don't even think there's one good bone in their body, people, if even they have bones. Okay? I'm just saying.
Cali, we're going. We're going.
12 years of repair.
12 years of repair. Well, it's a whole lot longer than 12 freaking years. Just as a reminder, I'm going to end this video because I'm getting kind of mad. No justice, no peace. But just as a reminder that in the province of British Columbia, Canada, there are Punjabis who are walking around with Shimei's body parts inside of them. Yeah. No doubt about it.